What up, though? It's your boy Dino, my misfit family. It's good to see you again. Just wanted to check in with you guys. Drop another video. This is part two of the botulism story. How I was in Hoag Hospital for 57 days, fighting for my life. Yeah, that's what I said. Fighting for my life. It's crazy. I left off where, first of all, I just want to say, like, you guys are dope. Dope. Like, everybody that came over and subscribed to the channel, I honestly can't tell you from the bottom of my heart how dope you guys are. The comments, the positive feedback, the likes, like, gets me. Honestly, helps with my sobriety, brings a smile to my face every day. I really do hope it brings a smile to your face, because you guys don't know how much this helps with my everyday sobriety. And if I could help one of you guys, whether you guys are struggling with drugs, alcohol, whatever kind of addiction, even if it's just you just wanted to come over and see something different for a change, I appreciate you. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, you guys are dope. Anyways, I'll get into it. So where I left off, so they had just came in and gave me the tracheotomy. Like I said, you couldn't have tubes down your throat. Well, this is what the doctors told me. They had me in a medical coma. They brought me out of it to pull the tubes out of my throat. And they gave me the trach. So now I'm on a trach. I got a feeding tube in. I got a catheter. I got a colostomy bag, which that's a fun one. You know, walking around with a shit bag on your stomach, like, is no joke. But these were all the things that I needed in order to save my life. Like, I had scars on my ass, open wounds on my butt that they had to clean out the abscesses and get the infection out, because it was killing me, you know. And they had given me the antidote for the botulism. Like I said, they had flew it in from the CDC in Atlanta, brought it in by armed guard, administered the antidote, and brought me out. Like I said, brought me out of the coma to put the trach in and induced me back into the coma. So that's when I was in the ICU at Hoag Hospital. The ICU was kind of a blur, obviously. I do remember my close family being there, you know, both my brothers, my mom, my dad, my stepdad. They were in the hospital room with me every day. And so when I did finally come out of the medically induced coma, I couldn't talk. You know, I had the trach in, and my brain was fuzzy. And I remember my brothers being in the room, and God bless them, you know, they never lose their sense of humor, and they know, like, I really do have, like, this, it drives me crazy. I can't have the bottom of my feet touched, like, tickled, anything. I, like, jump, like, I'll take off swinging on somebody. Like, I've gotten in fights and county jail over it, like, just a homeboy messing around, you know, daring somebody else to come up and touch my feet because they know how I don't like it. But yeah, so of course my brothers know that I can't move. I'm stuck, like, you know, fighting for my life, and they're down there, you know, I can't even communicate because I got this trach in, you know, I can't talk, and they're down there tickling my feet, thinking it's funny, you know it's driving me crazy. But you know, that's my brothers. Like, that's them. They're never gonna lose that sense of humor, and I love them for it. But they also were there every single day by my side, as well as my mom, as well as my stepdad, cousins, aunts, uncles. Like, it's crazy. Like, they weren't, none of those people were talking to me when I was getting loaded. None of them, you know. Maybe my brother Dave was always talking to me. He always stayed in touch with me. That's my ride or die. He's my number one. Like, that's my boy. He's always got my back. Him and I have been through thick and thin together, and I'll, you know, share all those stories as we go on. But, you know, my grandmother's always said this, and I really, really do believe it, that, you know, I asked her one day, you know, like, hey, all the shitty stuff I've done, stealing, taking money from you guys, lying, running amok, having you guys worried, dealing with lawyers, cops calling the house, me in and out of jail, going to prison, ODing, in the hospital bills, you know, up the wazoo. Like, how come you guys never gave up on me? And her response is, family doesn't keep score, you know. And that always stuck with me, because no matter what, you know, wasn't talking to my family all the way up until I went into the hospital. You know, my cousin came and got me into detox, but it's not like we were hanging out or, you know, running amok together, because he was clean and sober and I was lying to him about getting loaded. But they were there. They were there for me every day, every single day, bedside. I got another picture of when I was in the hospital. The first one I posted was when I had the tubes down my throat. The second one I have, I'll post, and it's my cousin Jill standing bedside holding my hand, and at this point I think I had the trach in, but I was in bad shape, and, you know, they were there for me, and, you know, I was fighting for my life in the ICU, and started to pull out of it, you know, and slowly but surely was getting better. And the whole time they had me on painkillers, because I was in pain, you know, like, not only the wounds on my butt, but botulism it'll kill you. Like, it'll slowly kill you. And I never had any idea of how dangerous it is or what it was, you know. And then when somebody explained it was Botox, I was just like, oh, so, you know, chicks get it in their face and gets rid of the lines. That's the only thing I know about Botox. But so I started coming around, you know. They had me in the ICU. I was in the ICU for about, I'd say probably about a month. And then they deemed me able to be okay to go up to the sub-ICU. And when I was in the ICU, the only way I could communicate to anyone was by writing. You know, I had to write messages. It was a lot of in and out, you know. I remember, like, little bits and pieces. The nurses were amazing. But once I got up to sub-ICU, that's when they recognized that I was able to start breathing on my own. And so that's when they decided to go in and take the tracheotomy out. And, you know, I don't know if any of you have ever had a trach, but, you know, you're just on a feeding tube for however long you have the tubes in your throat, or a tracheotomy. And it's not fun, you know. The first time that you do get to taste something, I remember they brought in ice chips, because I couldn't just eat a meal or do anything like that, because my stomach had shrunk so much just from being on a liquid diet from a feeding tube. That was my only source of you know, protein or any kind of food source. And when I had first gotten into the ICU, they had a lot of trouble finding a vein. You know, I've always had trouble when I was giving blood, or whether it was going in for surgery or whatever it may be, them finding a vein. And they came in with like an x-ray machine, and two nurses, I remember, came in, and they went to and put a PICC line in me. I think I still have the scar. It was under my arm, but they do a PICC line. And what they do is they take like it's almost like a plastic, like little thin tube that is essentially serves as a needle that goes in. They feed it into your arm, like in, I don't know if it's an artery or a vein or what. But they come in, they got this x-ray machine, and they feed it, and they watch it on the x-ray machine, and they can tell like where it's going, and they see it going up my arm. And the first 2 times they were doing it, it would either, what they needed to do is go down and go into your heart. Well, it kept going up and going up into my throat, and every time they were pushing it, I could feel it. And I couldn't say anything though, because this was back when I had the tubes in my throat. So every time, like, they could see it and it'd go up, and I'd be like, you know, like it would take my breath away. And I remember on the 3rd time, they said, if we don't get it this time, we're gonna have to get the doctor to come in here. Well, the 3rd time they got it in. That first hit of Dilaudid, that warm and fuzzy feeling is like nothing that you've ever experienced, you know. Like yeah, I don't know if I've ever gotten another rush like that on anything. Morphine, oxys, heroin, and cocaine, that was my shit. But as far as like just a straight opiate, Dilaudid was the one that used to knock me on my ass. And my family could tell right away, and I think it bothered them when they would be in the room and they'd come in and administer the Dilaudid, because I'd become a completely different person, you know, like goofy, like, you know, saying inappropriate things, you know, just gouged out, you know what I mean? And so they had this PICC line in, and once they got it in, that's how they come in. They tie on with the needle or syringe, and that's how they administer your medication. Well, that's what they hooked me up to. I had a morphine drip. I had a morphine drip and a drip for Ativan, to keep me calm. And I remember, so once they had moved me from the ICU up into the sub-ICU, they had taken the trach out, and I was able to start eating slowly, like ice chips, you know, stuff like that. And the nurses on the sub-ICU level, like, I became close with, you know, like they looked out after me. They, you know, they'd come in, they'd see if I needed anything, they'd bring me food. But I would get a morphine shot, like I had a button, and I would be able to administer it. I think it was like every 12 minutes or something like that. So what I would do is I'd hit the button, but I'd pinch the tube, and I'd hit the button, and I'd sit there and I'd hold the tube for all 12 minutes until I was able to get another shot, and then I'd hit it again so I could get a double dose of morphine, you know. And saying it out loud now, it's like, what's wrong with you? I was a dope fiend, you know. It's the best way to explain it. But yeah, so I mean, I would tell the nurses, like, it got to the point where I would tell the nurses, you know, I don't care if I'm sleeping, come in and hit my button every 12 minutes. I'm not missing a dose, you know what I mean? And like I said, I became close with these nurses. They would bring me treats, they'd bring me, you know, snacks, they'd, you know, come by and check on me more often. They'd, you know, if I didn't want to see a visitor, they would tell the visitors stay away. Well, once you're in the sub-ICU, you get to start to have more visitors. And, you know, that's when friends start coming, friends of friends, you know, cousins, distant cousins. And I remember, like, I was withering in a way. Like, my hair was getting super long. I hadn't had a bath in, shit, I don't think since probably 2 weeks. Well, no, I was in detox before I went in there. So probably until I went into the hospital, you know, I hadn't had a bath. It wasn't on my list, you know, my priority. I didn't, you know, I'm laying in a bed. I didn't think I stunk until one time a nurse came in and she was real with me, and she was like, hey, you need to take a bath. And she brought me like a stick of deodorant, you know, and I was like, I was bummed out. I was like, I'm the stinky guy? Like, that sucks. I'm like a crazy OCD about smelling and staying clean. Like, you can ask Ashley, my girlfriend, like, I am OCD to the max. Like, I don't know if it was because of that or what, but I never wanted to be the stinky guy again, because that's not the fun thing to do. But I guess I had a pass because I was in a hospital bed and couldn't really bathe myself. So they had to come in and bathe me, you know, and, you know, you're vulnerable, you know, you got a catheter in your penis, and you got, you know, a colostomy bag, a feeding tube, tubes coming out of everywhere. I got bandages on my ass. Like, they had to come in and clean out these wounds like every other day. And when they would do it, before they would come in and do it, they'd hit me with a Dilaudid, and that's, you know, what made it bearable. Because they'd come in it with like, it was almost like a flame, and they'd burn it, you know, because it wasn't healing fast enough. So that's how they would get, like, I guess, the wounds to close, you know, heal faster, I guess. And so yeah, she came in, her and another nurse came in and bathed me and brought me deodorant. And then my cousin was coming to visit, and he had called, and I was talking to him on the phone, and I asked him if he could give me a haircut because my hair was long and shaggy. And he's like, dude, I got a pair of clippers, I'll just come shave your head. And I was like, cool. So he comes down there. Leave it up to my cousin to bring some chick he's dating, you know, some girl I've never met before. Hey, this is the first time you're gonna meet my cousin, is when he's on his deathbed in the hospital. I'm going down there to shave his head. And of course I see she's super uncomfortable. She stands outside the room. My cousin doesn't care. He comes in, grabs me, picks me up out of the bed. I can't even sit up without him helping me and holding me up, and he shaves my head for me and then jams, you know. Like, that's my cousin. I love him. He'll be on here. I'll get an interview with him, and he's got a crazy story. He's next dope fiend too, you know. He's doing it now. He's staying clean, and God bless you, baby boy. So anyways, yeah, so I was in the sub ICU, and it was nice because I started to get more visitors, and I started to feel like I knew I wasn't out of the woods yet, but I started to feel like a little bit more confident that, you know, I was going to get through it. And then I had become such good friends with the nurses that the room I was in was kind of small when I first got moved up there. So I talked to them in when they were going to take me to, I forget what it's called after sub ICU. I think it's recovery or something. But they got me up to another room where it had a couch. It was a corner room, had a badass view overlooking Newport Beach. And that's when I started to have to do like my rehabilitation, and I had to learn how to walk again, because I had gotten down, I think when I went in there I was probably 210. I got down when they weighed me right before we had started the rehab. I weighed 127 pounds. I was emaciated. Like, I looked, my collarbones were like caved in. You could see my shoulder blades. I was withering away. And I remember the first time I had to do rehab, they were pulling me up out of the bed, and I had a friend that was coming to visit, and she knocked on the door, and she came in, and it was right as they were lifting me up. And I remember the look on her face. It was just like, oh my God. And I think that was the first time she was seeing me. And I remember her just saying, oh, I'll come back. And I can't imagine that, you know, that shock of seeing somebody that sick, somebody that you see as one person, 210 pounds, you come in and you see him in a hospital bed in a gown holding the IV drip bag onto the pole, and a male nurse lifting him out of bed because he's so sick he can't even stand up. But yeah, so I had a lot of people come and visit me when I was in that recovery state, and I got to see the love that it was. And what's even crazier is the sick part of the girl that I was getting loaded with before all this, and the one I had met in the Phoenix house that I was doing heroin with, and she was I could talk her into doing whatever I wanted, bringing me dope, doing stuff that any other normal person wouldn't do, and she would act like she didn't want to do it. And maybe she didn't want to do it, but I don't know what it was, but I could talk her into doing it. And I was having trouble sleeping, and I talked her into bringing me Xanny bars while I was in the hospital. And and at that point, like, the sad part is I had just fought for my life. My family was there by my side through thick and thin, done everything. My mom I couldn't afford going to the hospital. I didn't have insurance. My mom filled out all the paperwork for Medi-Cal, Medicaid, MSI, like any kind of funding that she could find to help. My doctor bills were outrageous. I had to give her power of attorney, and all this stuff my whole family had done for me, and here I am still trying to find ways of getting loaded. And it's sad to look back on, and it breaks my heart that when they see this, like, these are the things that they're gonna know. But hey, like, they need to know it, and need to know how sick I was, and I need to know how sick I was just by saying it out loud, because it's a constant reminder of, no matter what, like, death looking at you in the face and your family crying by your bedside, like, that's not going to keep you sober if you don't want it. It's not. And I was a huge testament to that. And I talked to this girl into bringing me Xanny bars, and she brought them in like a camera that she said was mine while I had visitors in the room, and she stuffed them in like the battery compartment. So, because she had to come by real quick and then jam. And it was just, it was sad, it was sad that that's how low I was. And, I'm getting ready to discharge from the hospital, and my parents have a beach house they rent a beach house for a week down in Newport Beach, just so they don't have to drive me far, and I can be down there, and they can bring me back and forth to my doctor's appointments, because I had to come back to Hoag Hospital every single day for a week. And they put up all this money, went through all this stuff just for me to still throw it in their face and get high behind their back. Like, that's not fair. It's not right. But that's how sick we get. That's how much this disease has a control over us, to where you don't make the right decision or the correct decision when you're in that clouded state of mind. And I guess the whole time I was there, I had never gotten clean, because I was doing morphine. I Dilaudid, it was all administered by the hospital, but still, like, they discharged me with a prescription full of Dilaudid that my mom had to go fill and bring back to the house. And she had to administer them to me every whatever it was, 6 hours on the hour. Like, she wasn't gonna give me any more than I had coming. And when I remember the day they were coming to pick me up from the hospital to take me back to the beach house in Newport, I still had those PICC lines in my arm, and I really, really was hoping that they had forgotten about them. They had brought my clothes in. My parents had brought like a pair of sweats, a t-shirt, everything for me to get dressed out, for them to take me downstairs in the wheelchair and put me in the car and take me back to the house in Newport. And the whole time I was getting dressed, I was trying to hide these PICC lines because I didn't want my parents to see them. I didn't want anyone else to see them, because I thought, hey, if I can get out of here with them, that's an easy way for me to get loaded for the rest of my life. I'll just keep, I'll just tie on to that. I don't even have to worry about finding a vein. So right there in my head, I'm already committed to not staying sober when I get out. Didn't even have any intention of it. And it's sad. And I mean, honestly, looking back, it breaks my heart that, like, I had lied to my family and told them, like, this is it. This is the last time. I'm done. Because it wasn't. And I knew it wasn't. And, the love that they had shown me through this whole ordeal wasn't enough to overcome my urge to find my next fix. And I remember they picked me up from the hospital and took me back to the beach house in Newport, and it was a 2-story beach house, and I couldn't walk up the stairs, so I had to sleep downstairs on the couch while my whole family slept upstairs. And I didn't move from that couch once. Like, that's how bad I was. I couldn't walk. Like, I couldn't walk without help. And, I wouldn't sleep at night, and I'd be up, and the prescription bottle would be on the counter, but I was so weak, I couldn't even walk over to the counter in the kitchen to get another pill, And my mom knew that, and she knew I couldn't go get them unless she came down and woke up in the morning. So I'd sit there. It'd be 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Knew my mom would get up about 6:30, come down and check on me, have her morning coffee, and then give me, a pill, a Dilaudid. And I would sit there and count the hours, and then watch TV and see these commercials and movies, and think of and admire these people that were in these movies and these commercials, that how do they live life every day staying sober? Like, what is it that they do? Or I wish I had their life where I didn't have to wake up in the morning and think about where I was going to get my next fix. I wish I had their life where it didn't have the chains of addiction on me so tight that I couldn't think of anything else. Like, I wish I could just have that normal life of waking up in the morning and not even thinking twice about it, and going to work and being happy. And I have that life today. I do. Like, and it's honestly the best feeling in the world. And it is literally the greatest gift I've ever given myself, is the gift of sobriety. And I fought hard for it, and I wanted it, and I like my life today. And that's the thing that you really, really, really got to do, is you got to like being sober. You got to like your life being sober, because if you don't like being sober, you're not going to stay sober. No one's going to stay sober. I mean, if it's miserable for you to be sober, like, what's the point? I'd get loaded still. But you really have to do some searching and find out what it is that you like to do, and go do it. Try new things. Get out there. Exercise is a big thing for me. It keeps my head right. It keeps me on a mental plateau that I want to stay on, and it also makes me feel good about myself. And that's a huge part too, is being able to look at yourself in the mirror. There's a long time where I shaved in the shower because I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror because I was so freaking disgusted. I love my life today. I love the people in my life. I love my circle. I love that I get to do this with you guys, honestly. Like, this is, it's like Badger says, I don't have to go to work. I don't have to do this interview. I get to do this interview for you guys, for me, especially. And honestly, like, I was talking to Ashley today, and somebody had mentioned in the comments of maybe doing the channel with stories, you know, just doing short stories and of my life of being a kid, and just kind of go all the way through the life, and also with mixing in like videos of us on vacation, and you know, not just totally overloading you guys with everything about my life you know, today. But I do want to show you, I'd like to tell you the story of where I came through, from the hardships, the, you know, coming from a family, a loving family, coming from, you know, a dad that, you know, struggled with addiction himself, and, you know, we didn't go without. The only thing we did go without was his presence, you know. But also showing you where my life's at today. Like, you know, I'm comfortable. Going to school. Like, I just had school tonight. I'm trying to get my contractor's license for electrical, you know, to get my C10. I just got my journeyman license, you know, 6 months ago. Like, these are the things I get to do, and it's awesome. I get to go to the river for the 4th of July. We're going to the river here at the end of the month again. You know, we'll document some of that and post it on here. We're getting a beach house in Newport Beach for a week in the middle of August. We're going to have some good content coming up, and I am sorry for, you know I had said that I was going to do some interviews, and I am going to do it. But I really wanted to get this out to you. Like, I really want you guys to get to know me on a personal level. And I love the comments, honestly, the likes. Like, somebody had said 59 likes and 0 dislikes. Like, you guys are dope. Honestly, on another level, dope. I appreciate you. I love all of you. You guys are amazing. Please keep fucking with me. I fucks with you. Yeah. I'm gonna put out another video towards the end of this week. I'm gonna start, you know, I'm gonna start from the beginning, you know, and start labeling it, kind of like how that kid Ryan Leone does his channel. I really do like how he tells stories. I mean, I can't tell stories like Homeboy, but I do respect what he's doing, and the kid's got the gift of gab, and he can get you hooked, and he can keep you there. That's the hardest part, is keeping you. I mean, it's like getting sober. It's easy to get sober. It's real easy to get sober. It's hard to stay sober. And anybody that needs help, anybody that needs an ear, or, you know, just needs to get some shit off their chest, honestly, I'll try to be there as much as I can for you guys. I try to respond to all the comments. I really do appreciate all of you. And, you know, let me know what you guys think of the channel so far, where I could improve, because this honestly is about you guys, and I will do my best. But you got to remember, you know, I'm working a full-time job right now. We're crazy busy. I'm just moved back in with my parents for 6 months, because me and Ashley are moving up to Santa Cruz, and we're getting a place. And you know, this was the best spot for me to be for now, you know, to save up some money. And, you know, I don't want to be 42 years old living back at home, but hey, there could be worse things, you know. Moms and pops are they're with it. They're gangster, you know. And that's another thing. I'm gonna get Moms on the channel, and you guys will love her. You guys will trip out on Moms. She's a rider. She's gangster as AF. But again, I love you guys. Please keep messing with me, and I'll keep, like I said, I'll fucks with you. And I really do appreciate all of you. Let me know where I can improve. Let me know when to shut up. Let me know if the videos are too long, too short. And I love you. All right. Later.